Greetings again, viewer. If you've hung in this far, you're doing very well. Now, we've had a look at this before. This is my Macedonian 28mm Army, a work in progress. Still a bit to do on this one. Not too much, but a bit to go. And of course, one of the joys of doing a Macedonian army with its pike phalanx, etc., is that it's quite easily morphed into a series of successor armies who can be used to fight the Romans. Famous battles such as Pydna, P-Y-D-N-A. Forgive me if I haven't pronounced that correctly. And of course, the successors fought each other. In front of us, painted and based, are 188 infantry, 22 cavalry, and 12 command figures, one of which is his nibs. That's my effort at Alexander himself. Again, most of the figures painted by myself. I have on occasion purchased figures up at Cancom. A chap there imports figures from a painting service. Sometimes if I'm not sure how to paint something, I will grab a unit off him just so then I can copy my own figures, but by and large, the vast majority painted and based by myself. Some of the Thracian figures, some of these command, for example, that's a purchased figure or purchased figures. Plans to finish off the just go for a bit of a wander. Plans to finish off this army. 8 figures of slingers. 2 more lots of 24 pike. Some Greek light cavalry there to paint up. And then something I'm not quite sure what to do about. Obviously, get out the way. These are Thracians. And these are Greeks. Out the way. These are, I think they're Greek peltasts. I've been using them in games of L'Art de la Guerre as I think they're pronounced Agranian javelin arm skirmishers. Fairly famous in Alexander's army. Extremely good skirmishers with the javelin. Could hit the proverbial bullseye with a javelin at quite a distance, apparently. Not sure exactly how to proceed. I bought this pack of what's described as actual Macedonian peltasts. I thought I could add those to these 4 figures, make up a whole new lot of peltasts. As you can see, I've got 2 lots of peltasts over there already. 1 Thracian and 1 Greek. But I was just wondering whether I should add these 8 figures to these 4 to create another unit of peltasts and use these particular figures, which Foundry sell as Greek light infantry, if reasonably more distinctive. And perhaps use these as the, again, forgive my pronunciation, Agranians. Agrianians. Yeah, I'm not sure. Those of you in the know will know what I'm actually talking about. So yeah, that's. I will probably go down that path, just so that those particular skirmishes stand out. They're a little bit different to all the other skirmishes I've got, and that would complete the basic Macedonian army with a couple of exceptions. Come over here. These hypastists, again, in an ideal world, come here. If I could get myself another 8 figures to have 2 lots of hypastists, because I think historically each pike phalanx was 1,500 men, and there were 6 of them at Gargamella, etc. The hypastists, there were 3,000 of those, which would make 2 lots of 1,500. It just depends on your rule set, etc., etc. The never-ending ideas for basing, etc. Now, if I'm to go down the, well, let's go over here. I'm going down the successor path. Now, Foundry described these, I think, as later guards type. So they're probably more definitely a successor unit. Although I suppose I could fudge and say they're just pike-armed hypastist and use them with the other more hoplite-looking hypastist. There is, of course, a great deal of debate and controversy as to who the hypastists were and exactly how they were armed, etc., etc. But probably generally I may tend to keep this more for a successor army. But to turn it into a successor army, apart from adding a few Persian units, etc., etc., a phalanx of silver shields. Yep. Come here, come here. Foundry silver shields. I've seen these painted up and they do come up absolutely spiffing. And to further turn them into a successor army, some, and again, forgive my pronunciation, Furaphori, a unit of, or 2 units of 12. I think these basically replace the hoplites in the later Greek armies. So yeah, 24 of those to do. And I'm tempted, but don't do it, Ian. No, don't do it. I've got this bag of 4, I think it's pronounced Thoracatai. Again, I've probably butchered that completely, apologies. Basically, they were an armoured form of Furaphori. Again, they were in later successor type armies. So lots of temptation there. This, of the armies that I've, apart from the Romans and Republican Roman and Carthaginian armies, which are basically just huge bags of these with virtually nothing started. Of the armies I sort of count as finished. This is the least completed one. But yeah, I've had a few decent battles with these, with the, even as is, with my later Persian collection. Tricks of the trade, if anyone's watching, I often have trouble. These are metal. Again, I didn't know any better. and sharp too. You've got to watch your fingers. Super glued on, but I'm finding the ones particularly on this side for some reason, probably because it's closest to the edge, whereas over this side you're tending to touch the shield edge. But often in games, I'm finding these tend to get broken free, knocked off. If anyone knows any trick better than just good old super glue to keep those in place, if you wouldn't mind just making a note in the comments down below. Okay, so as I said, 188 infantry, 22 cavalry, 12 command to actually complete the Macedonian army as is. Another 48 pikemen, 8 slingers, 4 cavalry, 8 peltasts and 8 javelin skirmishers if I go ahead with that little project over there. And to finish off the successors, or to turn it into more of a successor army, 24 Thurophori, 24 successor figures, and if I'm crazy enough to do a unit maybe of 16 Thoricata. Oh, don't do it, Ian, don't do it. Okay, so that's the Macedonians. Yep. I haven't included my 15mm American Civil War collection in this figure count. I probably should do them next. Finish with the Lead Mountain, which is the Punic and Republican Roman. Also, just a quick look at some of the projects that have pulled me aside and sort of delayed completion of these. For example, Native American Indians, 22 cavalry and 22 infantry, painted and based. Star Wars, 22 infantry, 2 Bantha, 1 cannon, 1 Walker, 1 aircraft for a better term, painted and based. Batman, 127 figures, painted and based. All of which, of course, take time away from finishing this. Anyway, starting to ramble. So there's the Macedonians, onward and upward. Cheers.